We get into our conversation tonight. I want to even get to hear from my panelists on what they think about the headline that we've had, that is the JKIA cocaine trail. Let me begin with Shakira. First of all, welcome to KTN Prime.
Thank you.
Good to have you here.
Thank you.
Ndegwa, good to have you on KTN Prime.
The pleasure is all mine.
Yes, first time coming here at night.
At night, yeah.
Yes, at night. Yes, our headline tomorrow, JKIA cocaine trail. It's something that is, it's an interweb. What do you have to say about that?
That it has exposed our vulnerability as a country, that our gateways are used by smugglers. And very interesting that the government of the day has not even coughed or even blinked to show that the country is safe. The speculations on its involvement can never be wished away, that the government might actually be the one allowing this, facilitating it. But be that as it may, this country shall outlive all of us, even those in government, and that no matter how seductive or powerful, power is transient. And you can never get away with anything. It's a big shame for this country that smugglers find not even the slightest efforts are made to apprehend these people. The guy just literally walked through the security passes in what used to be the pride of Africa, the best international airport. It makes us look like jokers.
Shakira, briefly, there are fears that Kenya's gateway to the world has been turned into a smuggler's corridor under watch of, the government.
Yeah, actually, that would be my biggest concern as a citizen of this country. Like, what is the role of the government when it comes to protecting our borders? Because the JKIA is part of our borders, and in turn, the citizens as well. So I haven't had much directly from the government regarding this particular scandal.
Yes.
So how much are they involved? And as in, clearly this is a government that does not care to, protect its citizens and serve the people. So how deeply are they involved to allow such a thing to happen?
So let's get into our conversation tonight, and it's all about what next for the victims of state excesses. And 2 days ago, we had the president of the Law Society of Kenya, Faith Odhiambo, resigned from a position as vice chair of the government-appointed panel of experts on compensation of victims of demonstrations and public protests. What did you make of that move by Faith, Shakira?
Faith is a woman that I look up to in this country. She's one of the few who has stood firmly by the agitation that started in 2024 by what we now call the Gen Z movement. And her taking up the role, given how we know her and who she is, I had a bit of concerns. I had some questions at the back of my mind, but I figured, it is Faith. So let me have my faith in her and, let us see what this thing is all about. And I see her taking a step back as falling to the pressures of her position as the LSK president, and also the role that she had been given, this power that she had. It came with so much responsibility. So I think her resigning was now listening to the grapevine and what the people's response was to her taking up the role. And as well, she shared that with the court order, the committee can't do anything with the timeline that they were given. And so it's just taking her word for it, but I wish she hadn't taken that role in the first place as Shakira.
Ndegwa, what does the resignation of Faith mean, and where does it leave this panel of experts? Having in mind that they were supposed to have 120 days.
The sages have it that if wishes were horses, beggars would ride. I don't want to express what my wish would have been for the decision that Faith took. But the truth of the matter is that paradoxically, people lost faith in faith.
So have they gained faith in faith now?
Not quite, because I believe Faith is our president, a lady we respect a lot. This thing was void ab initio. The Victim Protection Act has guidelines on what compensation of the victims entail. For Faith to have fallen to the trap of the state and taken up a very unconstitutional body that was merely geared towards diluting the efforts by the victims to to follow up on compensation. It was a betrayal on the history of the Law Society of Kenya. Her predecessor, a woman of Vela, who once served as a president of Law Society of Kenya, Madam Rachel Omamo,
yes,
really stood her ground when the government of the day was abducting, or rather, holding people without trial. They protested during that time. And we thought, during the Gen Z protest, Faith held on to that principle, that law society protects its citizen, it protects the rule of law. But when Faith now joined the other side by accepting an unconstitutional appointment, that was it really watered down the gains. But be that as it may, I still believe in the Law Society of Kenya. A good number of the members there are my very good friends. And that her resignation is merely a show that that evil can never triumph over good. It may be able somehow to convince, it might have some convincing lead, but ultimately, evil shall always fall in a fight between good and evil. This board that was, or this committee that was set by the president against the dictates of the law, actually it has no basis, and it was merely supposed to hoodwink those ones who have been brutalized and killed by the state. But fortunately, the fate of that committee is that it will not see the light of the day. That those attempts by the government to dilute the efforts will not see the light of the day.
So, Shakira, is there any impact that this resignation has for for victims probably that felt we should be compensated by the injustices that have been done by the state?
The resignation of Faith.
Yeah.
I feel like as a country, as a whole, we have lost sight of who our focus should be on. Maybe it was a deliberate effort by the government, to steer conversations and confuse Kenyans. But ideally, we should be focusing on the victims. And I believe when Faith decided to take up this position, it was advised by a lot of consultations from the victims themselves. And they felt, some of the victims rather, and they felt that her presence in that committee would have helped them. And now a lot of conversation has been about the her presence there, or now her lack of presence there. So I feel like we should pull back focus to the victims. We have a lot of young families who lost parents.
Yes.
We have a lot of people who lost their children. So many are nursing injuries. Up to now, we have at least 4 or 5 individuals at Kenyatta Hospital and the Kenyatta University Referral Hospital who are still battling injuries, and there is nobody to take care of them. So let us shift our focus to what is important.
Why is it that we veered, or you say, there was that veering away from, the main issue? Why is it that, Kenyans were swayed away from that?
I don't know. We are a complicated lot. We get distracted very easily. And I think that is why it is important to keep reminding. I mean, it is part of human nature. You get attracted to whatever the shiny object is. And in this case, it was Faith Odhiambo. And I don't imagine her presence there was intentionally to be for that purpose, and it exposes a systemic issue. We are dealing with a fragile implementation of our constitution. If laws are not applied the way they are supposed to be, even good intentions, they are hindered by the processes that take power during the day. So yeah, I feel like it is prudent for us to keep reminding ourselves what is the main issue and what should our focus be on.
Then when this, this panel of experts came into being on, when that was gazetted on August 25th, probably there are victims that felt that, at least there might be a glimmer of hope, but that has been crushed. Now, what next for these victims? What next for these victims that are, not in one place, across the country?
I would have expected the Kenya National Human Rights Commission, which is the body that is established to ensure that rights are protected, upheld by the state through that independent commission, to have by now compiled a list, summoned those witnesses, even visited for those who cannot avail themselves, and prepared a petition to the either to the state through parliament. And that, if that's not possible, there is the avenue of the courts. They ought to have approached courts and sought to have all these victims compensated, and the state to be held responsible. It is interesting that the Victim Protection Act, which is inspired by Article 50 of the Constitution of Kenya 2010, came into force in 2014. To date, we don't have something called the Victim Protection Trust Fund. Assuming the president had good intentions, all he needed to do was just to implement that. Create a trust fund under the Victim Protection Act. Then he would have by now empowered. We don't even have that Victim Protection Board. Not that it has been gazetted. Then additionally, by now, it would have been then easy for the Victim Protection Board to now raise this or consolidate all these issues, and then decide what each individual is supposed to have gotten. But there is even something bigger. All those people who committed these offenses, because it wasn't that the victims of the protest, the Gen Z protest, were as a result of acts of God. These are malicious human beings inspired by the state. You had the other day the cabinet secretary in charge of Interior saying they will not cooperate by any person who wants to hold the police into account. He even proceeded to urge them to shoot anyone who gets near a police station. A lawyer, by the way. Definitely, the state is here telling us, mutadu. That's what they're asking. We know for a fact that these people, the state has no goodwill. So what's next? I believe the Kenya National Human Rights Commission has failed. By now, they ought to have given us a report on last year's.
Did we have to form this, panel of experts if we have the Kenya National Human
It wasn't necessary. Actually, this was the president shedding crocodile tears while he himself has blood in his hands. It was a case of the state, flirting with the violators of human rights, and at the same time promising us with platitudes on how they mourn with those who lost their sons and daughters, those who lost property, those who are raped by people sanctioned by the state. And they are now telling us we are going to now we are going to create an unconstitutional committee to perform a constitutional role mandated by mandated to a different commission. Literally, what they were telling the Kenya National Human Rights Commission is that back off. We have people we can control, and that's what they led to. That's what led to the appointment of this committee. A committee that has no mandate, it has no backing of the law. They were literally diluting the efforts of what the law has set as the institution that are supposed to play these roles. But I also challenge this commission.
Yes.
I should have by now seen either a communique to the public challenging the decision by the president. But I don't know whether to call them a bunch of rent seekers in those offices. They have kept silent as well. 120
days, of course, will come to a conclusion. There's a case in court. But Shakira, will the victims ever get closer to getting justice? From where you sit, do you feel that probably victims will ever get closer to getting justice, or it's going to be, something that will always keep on oscillating, going in rounds?
With this current regime, they haven't actually done anything as a sign of goodwill towards these victims. This year, during the commemoration, the 1-year anniversary of June 25th,
yes,
we were there with majority of the parents who lost their children and some of their relatives, and the intention was to deliver a petition to Parliament. Like he had suggested, a petition, we're going to deliver a petition through Parliament and also deliver the same petition to the office of the President. And the police service themselves had promised that they are going to accompany us,
yes,
together with these family members, and accompany us to deliver this. But when the day came and we started our day with a word of prayer, we did not even walk 50 meters before the police came with tear gas. And more people were killed on that day. More people were injured on that day. And after that, we have seen young people, up to 300 of them, being punished. They were detained, arrested, and charged with terrorism.
I've represented some of them in court.
Some of the, crazy charges. Is this a government that is actually willing to take a step back and say, you know what, we recognize that we should not criminalize people who come to demand better of their government, to demand better of their country? First, they have not recognized that we are not treasonous criminals. We were called treasonous criminals, and now we are being charged with terrorism. That is, from the word go, the government has failed to show us that they are willing to actually show us some goodwill when it comes to this situation. So with this regime, I'm afraid not. And that is why personally, and the people that I work with, we are on a mission to make sure that this government does not come back. Because if they come back, they are running down our country. We won't have a country left if we give them another 5 years. We've seen now the cocaine story. We saw what they tried to do with JKA in the first place, with the Adani deal. We've seen what has happened to our pipelines. The health sector, education, everything is failing. What is working in this country except State House, to be honest?
Degwa, you've represented some of these victims.
Yes.
Do you probably feel that they will ever get justice?
And they will get justice. Actually, I'm not a Jewish prophet, but I can tell you with certainty that in the successive government, might not be in this government. All those people who are in power today, some of them will die in those corridors. We'll be giving them glucose, telling them, kaza mwendo, jikaze tunasukuma. We'll push them under the doctrine of command responsibility. Let the current Inspector General and his predecessor not sit comfortably that he is getting a pay slip every end of the month. Let the boys who serve beneath him, the boys and girls in blue, let them not sit comfortably that they can do all these wrong things and think they can go away unpunished. I can tell them, as with the precision of a Jewish prophet, under the doctrine of command responsibility, the current Inspector General, the President, and the current Deputy President, remember the current Deputy President was a Minister of Interior in the June 25th, 2024 June protests. His successor was the minister in this year's protests. Let them not sit comfortably and float how they have very expensive watches and belts. All those things will be seized and they will be auctioned. I see a possibility of us making history. I think it's good when people are able to smell when I will not say when the rock is cooking, but when the world is moving ahead. This Gen Z protest might have started as an isolated case in Kenya. They have spread across the globe. This is indeed a generation challenging those before them that want to, like cannibals, eat their very own. And they are saying not anymore. The third liberation is underway. Let them get this straight. I've gone up the mountains and prayed about it. And the revelation I have today is that in the successive governments, we are literally in the middle of a transition that it is not a Kenyan thing. These protests are merely midwifing another liberation where people in power sometimes get blinded and we are telling them not anymore. You will not, impunity shall thrive no more. So you ask whether they'll get justice. It is possible even now. There is nothing that prevents any victim to proceed and file a petition in court and seek for compensation for violation of their rights as victims. Even those whose lives were lost, their kins, their family, those people who fall within Section 29 of the Law of Succession Act have all the liberty to proceed to court and challenge and sue all those people I've said, even the Inspector General that are in office today. Let these members of Parliament who probably think themselves bigger than life not sit comfortably and hope that come 2027, they might bribe their way back into Parliament. That petitions have been raised in Parliament and they have decided to look the other way. The other day they were fighting over who gets what share. Then they were blaming the president for blaming them when they have always jumped whenever they are asked how to jump. They ask how high when they are already airborne. Let them not sit pretty and think that they can betray the very Wanjiko they sought to serve, but they instead bow to yet another president like a god. They will still pay for it. So a liberation is coming, and it is coming very soon. We are actually in the middle of it. That the calm we have today is a calm before a storm. These Gen Zs are not quiet because they are happy. They are just saying, let the pot boil. But ultimately, these will come and hit, and it will hit hard. So they will get justice.
Now, Shakira, when we talk about compensation of victims of demonstrations and public protest, I mean, if we get to an situation or a scenario where people who are not compensated, it will definitely mean that the police brutality will increase. How do you weigh the two?
It is not. Police brutality is existing already, and it doesn't seem to be going down anytime soon. We have seen the current IG Eliud Lagat. He was implicated in the death of Albert Ojwang. That guy lied to us that he's stepping aside from his office so that investigations can be done. And then we came to learn later that he was actually on leave. That is a slap on the Kenyans' faces. Like, we do not care about you people. As we speak right now, in the past month, we have had at least 20 deaths reported under police custody. None of them have been investigated, and we still have a backlog of cases. If we bring out a list of people who have died under police brutality, it is I don't even know what word I can use to describe. So when it comes to compensating, how are you going to claim to compensate victims, yet perpetrators are still walking around free in the city, still holding offices, still holding badges, and still carrying the same weapons that were used to murder, to injure these same Kenyans? If this government is actually keen on compensating victims, it should start from the point of recognizing what happened was actually not, these are not victims of demonstrations, these are victims of state brutality, these are victims of police brutality, and then going after every individual involved in these cases and persecuting them and making sure whoever is responsible is actually behind bars and they are punished for their crimes. Before speaking about compensation, how about you actually define the parameters of who is to be compensated? Because if we start talking about victims, right now, when you're speaking about victims, people like Rex Masai come to mind, because Rex Masai is dead. But we also have somebody else who doesn't have a kidney right now and is struggling to pay their bills because they were shot during protests.
Yes.
We also have a lady who was traumatized because she was stripped naked by a police officer. So what parameters are we using to define who is to be compensated and who is not? What reforms are we going to apply in the police unit to ensure that such things do not continue happening, because they are still happening? Are the perpetrators going to be arrested? Are they going to be punished? Is the president going to apologize? Because he claims to be the best leader Kenya has ever had. Apologizing is a sign of good leadership. Let him acknowledge that Kenyans have actually, the state went against its citizens when such brutality was happening, and apologizing for calling us criminals, withdrawing the cases against these young men and women who are being charged for arson and terrorism.
Yes.
They've skipped a whole bunch of steps before they go towards compensating victims.
And, you know, life is valuable. I mean, you cannot put price on somebody's life.
Yeah.
I think the current regime has priced it at 2 million as if Joan case is anything to go by. And the president seemed to have a price tag for every person. Maybe I think he ought to start with his own family. Let him tell us how much his family is worth to begin with. You cannot kill someone and say, si tutalipa, and even proceed to create. That, no wonder why we have very, very funny things going on in form of empowerment programs done by government that is itself not empowered. He's saying we don't even have fuel to help move our police officers. So ukitishwa pesa na polisi patiana. Yet it's the same government giving away money in form of empowerment. Open bribery. I actually like the Standard newspaper for its being bold, saying it's open bribery. A few years ago you'd not see this, but well, a nation takes a shape of its leader, and they say that democracy is merely a way that to ensure that people don't get any better leaders than they deserve. For a leader who came and promised to us that they will empower us, give us money in form of hustler funds, now they have brought something else. Really, it's a leadership that seems to have gone berserk. We don't even have consistency in terms of what is it that we are doing to reach where we envision to be in 2030.
2030 is 5 years away.
Yet 5 years, I mean, we are in 2025, 5 years away.
Less than actually 4 years.
We don't even have fuel to move our police officers. But we have a lot of fuel to move all these DCI officers who come to arrest these hapless youths, to charge them with terrorism charges. I mean, this is madness.
Shakira, what should be done to continue with this fight for justice for some of, not some, but for all the victims of, things such as police brutality?
My message would go to my fellow Kenyan citizens. This regime has already shown us that it is not willing to change. The current leadership is only determined to maintain the status quo. They want to be able to continue stealing. They want to be able to continue murdering, killing, disappearing people without being questioned. So we as Kenyan citizens, we as young people form the majority of the citizenship in this country. It is our responsibility to take back our country. And we can't sit back and watch while bad things continue to happen. This is our future at stake. This is actually our lives at stake. So we have to ensure that the current leadership, the current people that we have in government do not come back.
But how do you ensure that yet people are not registering for?
Yes, and that's my call to my fellow young citizens. Please, go register to vote. If you do not have your voter's card, go register to vote. You can register using your ID or your passport. Sahi nasikia a lot of people are applying for passports and for their national identity cards, and it's becoming troublesome to get that. If you have a passport, you can use a passport to register for your voter's card. And let's push to ensure that we are all getting our identity cards, because once you are above 18, you can't go to university, you can't get employed without your ID. And we saw from the pressure that we've been applying on the government, Ruto the other day declared that you no longer need to pay that 1,000 shillings for replacement of IDs. So, and when it comes to voter registration, the IBC already has a target of 6 million people. Last week, less than 10,000 people showed up to register. What are we waiting for? We've shown up on the streets, and clearly the streets are not safe for us. We can't continue dying at our homes because we saw people died in their homes. We can't continue dying in our hospitals because we don't have doctors. So let us do what is within our means, and what is accessible for us now as citizens is to register to vote. And when the time comes, let us elect leaders who are actually going to come with servant leadership, not people who have been there. If you go to the ballot box and you put a tick on somebody who's currently in government, wajinga ni sisi, by the way. See, if we allow ourselves to be hoodwinked again and to be bribed to take back somebody who's currently in leadership into office, because clearly from the MCA, I have not seen any group of MCAs coming and saying this is not right, this should not be happening to our citizens. I've not seen any group of members of parliament coming. You know, they are capable of impeaching the president. If they were keen on actually serving the people, why haven't they impeached the president? Let alone impeaching the president. There's an act that they've been unable to legislate about them being recalled, because they know if they were to legislate that act, the number of members of parliament who are going to be recalled before 2027, they won't be able to control that. So none of the politicians, I can't call them leaders, none of the politicians who are currently in government are even interested to serve the needs of Kenyans. So my call is to Kenyans, go register and vote. Your vote is your weapon for the next general election. And make sure when you unleash that bullet, you fagia wote. I keep shouting, let us drain the swamp. Let us give a chance to new leaders. If you elect somebody new and they fail you, you will say, at least we tried. But if you return the same old politician who has lied to you, who has stolen from you, who has killed you day in, day out, and then you come back and complain for them doing the same thing. I mean, what is the definition of madness? Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results.
Degwa.
Yes.
What are you probably going to do to ensure that this fight for justice continues for different victims?
Personally, I have, there's yet a different set of victims that I'm currently representing. The people who are swept by the floods out of the negligence of Kenya Railways in Maimahiu. 4 villages were swept. Someone who slept, a rich man or a rich woman for that, to that effect, woke up the following day stripped of their dignity, stripped of lives of their members of their own family, stripped of their wealth, and even stripped of their own health. What we had was a president fly over there, as if to mock them, promise them goodies which never arrived, and leaders went there to shed crocodile tears, promised them that they would get them free health care. To date, Not even a single thing that have been done. Actually, those victims are they are languishing in abject poverty. They are still being, and Kenya Railways is there. I have petitioned Bunge in this, the Senate, and they told me, oh, we cannot listen to this because you have filed a different petition. A petition that is not particularly in issue, has not raised those issues, the issues that I had raised in that petition. We have a tone-deaf government. That is without a doubt, and they know that themselves. So on my part, I'm doing the best I can in my individual capacity. But I also extend, I've also written to several institutions seeking to get answers on some policy decisions or lack of them, and in particular, the current excesses by the government. I think the writings are out there. I would equally urge my professional colleagues to at least help these families that are either being victimized by the state through what we call the lawfare. We have a government that wants to weaponize our justice systems against those people who question it. We have a president who believes it's the best thing that has happened to humanity after sliced bread. He has told us, look, you can tell me nothing. I have a PhD. He has due experience from four successive governments before his. Yet he has the worst record, probably, and has even been voted the most corrupt president. So when we expect for him to give us anything, we would actually have joined the bandwagon of madness.
Now, 1 minute each as we wrap up this conversation that we're having tonight on delayed justice, delayed, and you know what next for victims of state excesses. Shakira has said that, you know, for us to move ahead, we also have to change, you know, things using the ballot. Ndegwa,
yes.
What is the message to people that are not registering to vote? And then they will come out to cry that they were left out when this exercise was going on.
My first message is to the IEBC. Shakira well put it that it is madness to do the same thing repeatedly with the hope for a different results. You ought to be in a psychiatric center. We thought that the change of the commissioners of IEBC would have a different result. But probably we used the same formula ourselves. But be that as it may, IEBC is setting up this registration center far away from the people. Again, it's an impoverished economy. How else do they expect to enroll these 6 million new voters who themselves are struggling to survive? I mean, isn't that madness? I would rather, instead of moving to register as a voter, save myself 10 shillings or 50 shillings for the day to ensure myself I have supper for the evening. I have rent by the end of the month. But be that as it may, we need to, my fellow youths, and I know I look older than, but I'm still a youth. If my fellow youth, those ones who have yet to register, remember, there can never be any economic liberation without political liberation. I think colonialism taught us too well. Now we have a colonialist in a black man's skin, and speaking platitudes, saying all the good things we need to hear. But he has introduced things that only the colonialists introduced, things like housing levy. Reminds us of what we used to call the heart tax. In houses, the good thing is that the colonialists used to have, you would tax you for a house you already have. This one is telling you, pay housing levy for a house you will never get. He's actually dangling it like a carrot to teach us 20%. What am I saying? You will never get that economic liberation until you get your political liberation. You must at least sacrifice a day, an hour or two, to take up that vote, to register as a voter. And then play your civic duty, because you might actually not see the light of the day. If this government is supposed to continue sitting on our heads, wanting to rule over us, to lord over us, as if they are probably second to Christ, we need to get them out of government. And the only way to do it, the only surest way to do it without having to risk civil unrest for a prolonged period like Somalia and Sudan is through the ballot. So move out and take out that vote.
Yes. Shakira, final thoughts as we wrap up our conversation tonight?
This is not about revenge for whoever is responsible for whatever. This is about responsibility. And since our government has failed dismally at taking up its responsibility, it is up to us as citizens of this country to take responsibility. We want truth. We want accountability. We want justice. And since the government is refusing to give it to us, it is up to us to stand up and take it.
Thank you very much, Shakira Wafula, who's a human rights activist, and Kiroko Ndegwa, who's also a lawyer and a human rights activist, for making time tonight to come and talk to us about what next for the victims of state excesses, as well as delayed justice. Of course, this conversation does not stop here. We'll be, of course, following it up to see what next for the victims of state excesses. But that is where we wrap up KTN Prime tonight. We had a Pretty Janet on sign language. My name is Robinson Okenye. Have a good night.